Tonight, I want to speak to people who have never been. So, I would like to speak to people who have ever been misunderstood, to those people whose character was questioned, to those who were blamed for things they did not do, to those who were talked about behind their backs, to those who tried to explain themselves, but somehow every explanation became another opportunity for someone to criticize them. And most importantly, tonight is for the people who eventually became tired of explaining. Maybe you reached a point where you thought, why should I keep proving who I am? Why should I keep defending myself? Why should I keep answering every accusation? Perhaps, and at that moment, that is when you would eventually become silent. So, I think I was talking about office politics and I was talking about a person, an individual. It's a lady, but similar incident also happened to a gent. So let's not become gender specific, but we'll see how eventually things turned positive and how truth triumphed. So at that moment where they felt they kept tired of explaining, or they felt that why should I keep proving myself, that is when they became silent. And if it is where you are right now, I want you to hear this now. Silence essentially does not mean defeat. Sometimes silence means you have finally understood that you don't need to give an explanation to anyone. You know what you are. You don't have to convince everybody. You don't have to chase every rumor. You don't have to respond to every accusation. But there is something more powerful about time. So that is when time, actually, this is where when you give time to time, time will start healing everything, and time will eventually start revealing many things. So we'll see what happened. So eventually, when you give time to time, time will reveal patterns. So that is when, so what we are discussing is how many a times you felt that, yes, why should I prove anything to anyone? Or why should I keep defending myself? Why should I keep answering every accusation? Okay, that is when you would have become silent. So, when you give time to time, time eventually reveals patterns. Time reveals consistency. Time reveals contradictions. Because those people who wants to blame you eventually will continue keep telling the same thing, but there will be change in words. So time will reveal that contradictions. Time will also reveal that there is no consistency in what people are speaking. So eventually people will begin to see what you could not make them see through words. So tonight, let's take a deep breath. Let go of the need to prove yourself and listen carefully, because sometimes the greatest vindication is not hearing someone say, I was wrong about you. Sometimes the greatest vindication is simply watching the truth reveal itself. So when people judge you without knowing the whole story, that is the most painful experience anyone can have. And I think at some point of the time in life, everyone would have felt that I'm wrongly being judged by people who really don't know the entire story. People may hear one side, they may hear an accusation, they may hear a carefully constructed version of events. They immediately jump to conclusion. The person telling the story may present themselves as a victim. They may leave out important details. or they may leave out those details which will make them as the villain. Rather, they will add some more story which would make themselves as so the one who is actually uh, creating this blame game will showcase themselves as victim. So they may leave out important details. They may emphasize your mistakes while hiding their own. They may make themselves appear innocent while making you appear responsible. And when enough people hear the same version repeatedly, they may also start beginning to believe it. That is when it can be incredibly frustrating. So, so the same thing happened to these individuals. Uh, so my friends. So what happened? So the blame game started. The one who were actually harassing them or hurting them were creating stories. They started spreading rumors, stories across, and they were presenting themselves as the victim. So it will turn out to be, yes, definitely frustrating because you know the truth, you know what happened, you know what you said, you know what you did. And yet you may watch people form opinions about you based on information that is incomplete. At that time, there will always be a temptation to fight, to explain, to send messages, to defend, to tell everyone what really happened. But sometimes that creates another problem, and that is what the one who is creating blame game wants. Okay, so every explanation you give will create another question. Every defense creates another opportunity for an argument. And that is when you eventually realize, why should I participate in this anymore? There comes a point when you have to step away. Not because you are guilty, but because your peace is more valuable than winning an argument. So the that is what is power of silence. So silence is often misunderstood. People sometimes think that if you don't respond, you are weak. But silence can be incredibly powerful. When you're constantly explaining yourself, people hear your words. When you remain consistent over time, people observe your character. And character is difficult to fake forever. You can pretend for a day, you can pretend for a week, you can even maintain an image for months. But eventually patterns emerge. How does a person treat people when nobody is watching? How do they behave when they don't get what they want? How do they react when challenged? Do they accept responsibility? Do they change their story? Do they blame everyone else? So these are the questions which keep cropping as time passes. So these, the consistency speaks for itself over a period of time. So do they constantly position themselves as victim? Do their words match their action? These are the questions that time will answer. Once time starts answering, that is when you can be rest assured that victory has started. You don't have to answer them for other people. Life does. And that is why you should not underestimate consistency. If you continue behaving with integrity is something you should not forego. Eventually, people have something to compare. They can compare what they were told about you with what they actually observe. And that comparison can change everything. And how does the one who has started the blame game reveal themselves? And how did these people try to do that? Sometimes what happens is the person who spends so much time criticizing you eventually begins to reveal themselves. How will they do? Not because you have exposed them, not because you attacked them, not because you launched a campaign against them, but because people eventually notice contradictions. Someone say one thing today and another thing tomorrow. They accuse someone of dishonesty, but their own stories keep changing. They accuse someone of manipulation, but people begin noticing manipulative behavior in them. They accuse someone of being selfish, while repeatedly acting in their own self-interest. Slowly, people start, connecting the dots. So once they connect the dots, what will happen? This is one of the most powerful things about time. Time allows people to observe patterns. One incident can be misunderstood. One conversation can be misinterpreted. One mistake can happen. But repeated behavior tells a different story. When the same pattern continue again and again, people will start paying attention. And suddenly the question changes. Instead of what did they say about you, people begin asking, why does this person's story keep changing? Why is there always conflict around them? Why do they keep blaming other people? Why doesn't their behavior match their words? So when the blame, the team was ganged up to blame people shows inconsistency. That inconsistency is shown by time. So time slowly reveals these inconsistencies, contradictions. Slowly, all the people who are hearing them will connect the dots, and then they'll start realizing what is happening, and that is when the spotlight begins to move. So, did the individual who was blamed celebrate someone's downfall? No. Now, I want to make something very important and clear. If the truth is coming out, don't become obsessed with watching someone fall. Don't make revenge your goal. Don't sit there waiting for the other person to suffer. Don't spend every day thinking, when will people finally realize I was right? Because that still keeps you emotionally connected to the situation. Your goal should not be I want them exposed. Your goal should be I want to be free. I want to be peaceful. This is a huge difference. Revenge keeps you connected to that incident. Peace releases you. If someone misunderstood you, let time handle what you cannot. If someone lied about you, let truth eventually speak. If someone tried to damage your reputation, continue building your character. You don't need to become like the person who hurt you in order to prove that they were wrong. That is one of the greatest victories you can have. So, what did these people do? What happened was uh, the person whom I'm talking about was the one who used to take a lot of work, lot of burden, or rather is the sole person who takes more, interest and does work. The other two are not only corrupt in their character but also corrupt with respect to money. So they used to find paths to earn, money apart from the salary. So these people were neither sincere with respect to work, neither sincere with respect to their character, neither sincere with respect to words. And they are very good at instigating people. So they will start complaining, because idle minds are devil's workshops. They don't have any work, so they have to, constantly create some chaos, and that chaos was always created with respect to other people. So what they did, they found out a very innovative method of, harassing, and that is where they have actually crossed the boundary. They wanted to, become they wanted to rewrite someone's destiny, and that is when time eventually came back to reveal everything and is now rewriting this bunch of, or the group of idiots history. The people who doubt you may change their minds. Sometimes the people who once believed all these accusations, they'll start seeing things differently. Maybe they'll not apologize, okay? They'll not come to you and admit they were wrong. Sometimes people are embarrassed to admit that they believed something without knowing the whole truth. But their behavior towards you may change. They may become more respectful. They may begin listening to you differently. They may stop participating in gossip. They may distance themselves from the person who created conflict. Sometimes a quiet change is all the confirmation you need. Don't demand an apology at this time. Don't chase people for validation. Don't force them to admit they misunderstood you. Keep doing your work, keep improving yourself, keep honing your skill set, maintain your peace, put have a firm boundary, let them observe, let them think, let them arrive at their own conclusion, because when someone reaches the truth themselves, that understanding is often stronger than anything you could have told them. So this is when you yourself become an evidence without speaking anything. This is what is power of silence. And but at the same time, while you will have to be silent at times, but when it crosses a certain boundary, yes, take legal help, take legal support, and put them in their place. This is something I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. You should. When certain things cross certain boundary, yes, they will have to be put in their place. But silence is one which eventually reveals many things. Time is one which reveals the inconsistency in what they are saying. It will start connecting the dots and eventually reveal what you are, and you don't have to, reveal anything to anyone. Keep working, don't discuss about your goals, what you're planning, because now those people who have disconnected during these hard times will now try to come back to you when you're really moving up. You don't need them again. So be very clear, have discretion in allowing people who participated in the gossip again as part of your close circle. This is for the good of yourself. This is for your own mental peace. Don't allow such idiots into your life again. So keep a firm boundary. If it is your family members whom you just can't throw out of life, at least maintain firm boundaries, because the one who has not realized that they're hurting you have no point in being there for you. And they have coming back because you're doing well, and they would like to participate in your success. So those people are not needed. How, if a person is coming back to you, do check how did they behave when the controversies were going on, when the blame game was going on. Were they on your side, or were they on the in the enemy camp? Can I say enemy? Yes. Or the distractors camp. How did they behave then? How are they behaving now? Is there a consistency? If the consistency is there, yes, you can allow them as part of your close circle. If there is an inconsistency, please throw them out of your life. Throw them is not literal throwing them. Maintain firm boundaries. Keep away from them. Because this is the time when many people come back saying that, I didn't mean saying that. I did not do this. You know, I just misunderstood. Sometimes they may not even owe an apology, but they become more respectable. Now, maintain that firm boundaries. Be very clear. Put them away. Is the behavior consistency consistent with respect to you, despite your hardships? Yes, they are part of your circle. If they are not, please keep them away. So, how was your day? Keep, is there something you would like to chat? So, did you have your dinner? If it is India, and according to your time zones. So, how was the day going on? So, they have, with their improvement, I mean, they have consistently improved themselves, they have consistently maintained peace. They have continued doing whatever they used to do regularly. They ensure there's no disturbance in personal sphere or professional sphere, despite all the blame game that was happening. So the blame game started from personal sphere. The game started from personal sphere, and that eventually was, you know, scaled down to it started at professional sphere. Sorry, not personal sphere, and it was eventually moved to the personal sphere too. It was like trying to rewrite the destiny of an individual. Hopefully, now when destiny starts writing their destiny, I think that is when they will not be able to, you know, face it. कर्मा का कर्मा का उसूल ये होता है कि एक कर्मा, गुड और बैड का एक कर्मा, बट यूनिवर्स का, नेचर का एक कर्मा, बैड अनेक हो सकता है, 100 हो सकता है, 1000 हो सकता है, 1 लाख हो सकता है. And similarly, whether it is good karma or bad karma, good karma 100 हो सकता है, 1000 हो सकता है, 1 लाख हो सकता है. बैड कर्मा इससे बहुत ज़्यादा हो सकता है. जब एक बार वो तपट जोर से पड़ेगी तो समझ में आएगा कि हक समझ में आएगा कि क्या किया तुमने, एंड अकल अकल ऑटोमेटिकली पे आ जाएगा. तो एक जाबड़ टाइम इज व्हाट will reveal eventually. Time will give an answer, a befitting reply. So this is where character becomes your evidence. Think about your life as a long story. A person can tell a short story about you, but they cannot rewrite your entire life. Your character is demonstrated through hundreds and thousands of small actions: how you treat people, how you handle pressure, how you behave when you are disappointed, how you respond when nobody is watching, how you treat people who cannot benefit you, how you respond when you have power, how you respond when you don't have it. These things reveal what you are. That's why you don't have to panic when someone tells a false story about you. A false story may travel, but truth has something that lie doesn't have: consistency. Eventually, reality has to catch up. Stop. One more important advice is, don't start replaying the situation in your mind. Stop replaying the situation in your mind. Now, let's talk about something very personal. Sometimes the person who hurt you has moved on, but you're still replaying the situation. You're thinking, I should have said this, I should have answered that, I should have defended myself differently, I should have told them the truth, I should have exposed them, but you cannot change the past. So don't replay it. It doesn't give you your peace back. You have to decide the chapter happened, but it does not control the next chapter. Maybe you were treated unfairly, maybe you were misunderstood, maybe someone damaged your reputation, but that does not mean your future has to be defined by what happened. So your life is bigger than one person's opinion. Your future is bigger than one painful chapter. Stop living in the courtroom of yesterday. You don't have to keep presenting evidence. You are allowed to move forward. So we'll discuss more in the next live session. Thank you.